Hi, everyone. I'm excited to be here today to talk to you about some of the miracle stories that are happening right here in our own city, in our own state, every day. My name is Tony Coscia, and the title of our show is Tony's 50,000 Coincidence Miracles. Please note, this show is not about religion, and we're not trying to change anyone's religion, and we're not trying to get you to join any religion. It's just about miracle stories. I don't know of any religion on the planet that doesn't talk about miracles. That's why religions begin, because they have something that's telling them there's really a God. But we're not going to get into that. We're going to just talk about miracles and leave the decisions about all that up to you. So we don't care what religion you are. We just want to talk about miracles. If you are an atheist, I think you'll enjoy the program as well, although I can't guarantee you'll remain an atheist very long after you hear many convincing stories, coincidence kinds of stories about miracles. You can email me your own stories if you wish. We'll try to use all we can on the show. I can't guarantee we will, depending on volume and time, but you're welcome to send your stories on to us, and we will mention them when we can. You can send them to the following email address. But please notice that if we do use your story, we won't mention your name. We'll keep you anonymous. And we suggest that in your story, when you send it to us, don't use your correct name. That way anyone listening will not be able to figure out that it was you that sent the story in. The email address you can send your stories to is very easy to remember. It consists of 2 words and 3 numbers. The first word is Tony, spelled Tony, and the second word is and, spelled A-N-D, and the numbers are 777. So once again, the name is Tony and 777 at AOL.com. Well, let us begin. We are into week 12 this week, and once again I remind you to have a pencil and paper handy to jot down some information as we go through this talk. We only have about 12 minutes or so I'll be covering a lot of ground quickly, and you may want to jot down some notes. One point I'd like to make at the beginning is, for those of you who don't know, I've written 2 books about all of the topics we cover on these shows. And in my books, I shared 200 miracle stories I've experienced in my life, so you get a very good sense by reading those books of all kinds of ways to notice God during your life, because it's important. If we're going to be noticing miracles, when you notice a miracle, you must be noticing God too, because He's the worker of all miracles. If there's a miracle happening, that means He's being active. Now, these shows are all recorded, and the books I wrote are also, one of them is in an audio version. So we offer all these things for free. I'll tell you up front, it's all free. You get a free copy of the book. You get a free copy of all these audios, the radio shows, and we also created many other audios as well. So there's a wealth of information, all for free, and I'll be telling you how to get to those a little later. But today we want to stress and point out to people that there are a couple of ways that everybody can use right away, nice and simple, nice and easy ways, to notice miracles during your life and to also notice God, because if you notice one, you'll notice the other. Makes sense, right? If you notice a miracle, you'll notice God. If you notice God, you'll notice miracles. And the Bible is filled with evidence of that. So the first way that most people need to be told right away, because they think it's impossible, is to ask God questions all day long. No matter what you're doing, you don't have to stop what you're doing and go into deep meditation, deep prayer. No matter what you're doing, you're fixing your car, or you're cleaning your house, you're building something outside, you're cutting the grass, whatever you're doing, you're out relaxing, sunbathing. You can ask God questions all day long. And all you have to remember is to listen to the first answer. And you won't hear a noise, you won't hear it audibly. 90% of people in history are hearing God by inspirations and by ideas. So you ask God a question and you get an instantaneous inspiration, you get an instantaneous idea, and that's God answering you. The reason it's the first answer, it's always the first answer, is because God doesn't let somebody else answer his question. If you ask him a question, he makes sure an imposter doesn't come and give you the answer. The imposter might come in the second answer or the third answer, like with Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve, God gave them the answers they needed right away. All the first answers he gave them were coming from him. And then, as you know, the story goes, they started to get other answers, other inspirations, other commentaries, and that was not God. So when you ask God a question, listen in your mind and in your heart and in your soul for that quiet answer that comes. And a good way to notice it is, when you're talking to yourself, sometimes you say, I guess I better. So if you say, I guess I better, then you're talking to yourself. But if you say in your mind, I guess you should, then that's somebody talking to you. So a way of noticing God answering you is when you ask a question, he's coming back in the second person answering your question. For an example, if you ask him a question, he might start to respond in your mind by saying, well, my answer to that is, or as I told you already. So you see, he may give you those beautiful clues that it's not you talking to yourself, but suddenly he's talking to you. So you can practice this, and practice it for a week if you don't already do it. And while you're practicing it for the week, asking him everything that comes into your mind that you want to ask him about, you'll notice after 7 days, I have no doubt about it, you'll notice how beautiful that is. It's the 10% of our life that we really don't enjoy unless we apply ourselves and do that. So again, you'll notice in the answers that you're getting, and the first answer is God, and you'll notice it as an inspiration, an idea that's soundless coming into your mind and into your heart. If you read the lives of the saints, most of them had this soundless experience. Many people in the Bible as well, in history. And about 10% of the people actually hear his voice audibly. They hear a voice, and those people are specially chosen for missions, and that's why they hear a voice. Jesus said in Scripture, many are called, that's the 90%. Many are called, but few are chosen, that's the 10%. Because if he audibly tells you to do something and you did not have to ask, you are more responsible now for the fact that you just heard him audibly, and so you have greater responsibility and you've been chosen for a mission. And that is in 10% of the cases. In my experience of 50 years, I've talked to a lot of people. 90% of people hear a soundless, quiet voice from God in their minds and in their hearts. It's called inspiration, and it's called ideas, and that's why those words were created, by the way. The word inspiration and the word idea were created to try to tell people what is happening. When you get an idea, it's two words. You get an I, and you get a Deo, and Deo is the Latin word for God. When you get an inspiration, you get an inflow, that's in, and you get a spiration, which is the Spirit of God. So that's why those words mean inspiration, coming in of the Spirit, idea, coming in of God. Now, another way to notice God talking to you and having communications with God is to notice numbers. Yes, notice numbers. The Jews will tell you that they can translate their words into numbers and vice versa, translate numbers into words. So it's been going on for thousands of years. The number 777 has been recognized for thousands of years as God's number, a holy number that indicates God. When you see 777, it indicates the power, the permission, and the approval of God. The Bible itself, in the New Testament at the end, Book of Revelation, says that the number 666 is the number for the devil. So you know that the authors of the Bible knew about numbers because they said the number 666 is the number for the devil. Nonetheless, all the other numbers in series of three numbers like 222, 555, 777, all the other numbers except sixes are holy numbers, and they mean holy things. So when you see holy numbers, all the other numbers in series of three, like 555, 777, etc., they mean holy things, and when you come to know what those things mean, then when you see them, you can see that God is communicating with you. So I would say for the next week or so, you keep asking God questions and you keep noticing numbers. And if you notice holy numbers like in license plates or mailboxes or trucks go by with phone numbers on the trucks, you start noticing holy numbers, any number that's 3 numbers in a row, except for the 6s, that you imagine or think or ask God if He's showing those numbers for some reasons, and you'll be glad you did, because I have a lot of people telling me, and I personally as well, get a lot of clues by seeing numbers arriving at a certain time. Also, when you look at your digital clocks, you wake up at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, you look over and it's 2:22, or it's 5:55, or it's 3:33. So you'll see numbers when you look at your digital clocks, and you'll say, gee, why did I look just at this precise second and I saw the digit changing as I was looking? And those may be clues from God that He's talking to you. Now, I hasten to add, if you see somebody with a 666 license plate, don't condemn them and throw rocks at them. Or you see somebody with a 666 mailbox, because that number exists in history and it's used. When you're the 666th person in line, doesn't mean you're a bad person. And if you're getting paid for the week and your boss gives you a check for $666, don't throw it away. So the number 3 6s is used regularly in life, but it can be used when people are trying to talk about evil things, and that's a rarity, like once in the Bible where you can see that. So I don't want you to get paranoid when you see the number 666. It just can be used for an evil number. All the other numbers are holy numbers and can be translated. Okay, so the 2 main ways are ask God a lot of questions during the week. Also look for these holy numbers in a series of 3, like 777, 555, etc. And I'm going to give you the address you can Google to get a lot of free information, free audios, free books, all for free, that clarify a lot of these things that I'm covering, and all the numbers are explained, the meanings of numbers. So if you just Google the following address, you'll get a wealth of information for free. Here's the address. It's W, capital W, and then CAT, C-A-T. So it's W, a capital W, C-A-T, radio.com/miracles/ one more time, catradio.com/miracles/ and you'll get a wealth of free information and a lot of clarification on the things I cover every week. Let me share a miracle that happened in my life about the number 444. Number 444 is a number that connotes to people, it indicates to people the Blessed Virgin Mary's name, the Mother of Jesus, and also her rosary. And one day I was asking God questions, and He inspired me to go for a walk in the park and say your rosary. So I went for a walk in the park. It was a beautiful day. I'm saying my rosary. I finished saying the rosary. I was in the process of writing my 2 books, so I was walking around some more and asking Him some questions about the books. And then a plane flew over my head, perfectly above my head. About 15 times in my life this has happened. I don't know where the planes come from. I don't care. When I'm inspired to leave, when God wants me to stop what I'm doing, when I'm walking outside, 15 times in my life over the last 50 years, a plane flies overhead, and that's a clue, confirmation to leave. And it's been happening, like I said, 15 times. So I left. As I was pulling out of the driveway, precisely at the driveway, another car came in with the license plate number 444. So I was inspired by God, turn around, go tell the man what just happened. And so I turned around, went back and told him, and he was fascinated. And he said, you know what time it is? I told him it was the number for Mary. He said, look what time it is. And the time was 4:44 p.m. So that man arrived at 4:44 p.m. with a license plate number 444.